Hi, welcome back to Papa's Custom Cars. My name's Craig, and this is the grandkids' car. I've been working on it off and on now for a couple few months. Actually, it's been one longer than that. We changed the oil pan gasket in it. We've changed the oil. We changed the filter, and it had the filter that was stuck on here so bad because nobody lubed the gasket. But now the only leak we really have that's really bad right now is the transmission pan gasket is also leaking really bad. So we're going to go ahead and pull that trans pan, clean it up. We're going to put in a new filter and all new fluid, and then that part will be done. So the trans will be serviced. The engine is fully serviced. Everything is ready to go. So we can get it out of my garage and I can get that Mustang back in here where it's nice and cozy. And we can get back to work on the Nova because that's been suffering. Been doing a lot of work around the house, so let's get to it. So as I was saying, we've replaced the pan gasket on this, the oil pan gasket, because it was leaking. And then while we were under there, we discovered that the transmission pan also was leaking, worse than the oil pan was. It is all over the bottom of this car. It's terrible. So I ordered a new gasket kit and filter and all new fluid. So we'll go ahead and drop the pan. As we all know, it's a big mess, but it's got to be done. And then that's the last thing that needs to be done to this, and it can go back home. So let's get under this car and get to it. Now, one of the things about these 200s is even on the ramps, it's way low to the ground. So what I do is I put a jack under the body and I raise the body up, leaving the wheels down on the ground. That way I've got a little bit more room down there. So let's get under there and get this gasket changed. And first up, we got to drain the fluid, and that's going to be a big mess. So join me in the big mess making.
So as you can see, it is got active drips from it. How, I don't know, because this thing has been dripping since it was brought home. So we need to definitely pull this pan. Now, one of the nice things is it's on an angle. Unfortunately, the bottom is flat, but I bet you if we pull enough bolts out, we can get it out of there in a manner that'll allow us to drain that pan and not make a horrible mess. But can't be much worse than the mess it's already making. So let's go to it. So we just have to take these bolts out. Look at all the goop and stuff that they put on it. I'm wondering if it's just a bad, horrible seal. We do have enough degreaser to clean all this up, but there's no point in cleaning it all up with it the way it is right now, in the garage especially. But yeah, we'll clean it up just like we did the oil pan and everything, and get everything all pretty. So let's get to it. This thing isn't very tight at all. Taking the bolts completely out, we need to get this thing drained first. Oh, it's got anything in it, it's hard to believe. But we just want to break it loose so that it starts to drain out.
One of the things that I did notice is all of these bolts were really, really loose, and there was silicone all over the place, all the way around this pan. It was like somebody went crazy with the stuff. So I got out the paint scraper and just started scraping stuff off. And as I was doing that, I was prying the pan loose because it also had a bunch of gunk on it. And like I said, it was just sealed on the outside, not on the inside, on the gasket itself. As soon as I got past the gasket material on the outside, everything started coming apart, and it became interesting what I ran into here.
Boy, that is some ugly fluid. Definitely a lot of brown in that. Let's put this here for now. That's going to have to be cleaned massively. It's filthy. Alright, let's get our wrenches cleaned up, get all this transmission fluid cleaned up, so we're not dealing with this horrible mess. Oh, wonderful. So it's off. And we got transmission fluid pretty much off all over everything. Whoops. Whoopsie. We're going to let it drain for a little while and we'll come back to it. We got a lot of cleaning to do here. It looks like there's absolutely no gasket material or silicone on here at all. Yeah, it's not on here very well either. Whoever put it on just went crazy with it. Look at all that. Wow. So somebody pulled it off, gooped it up, probably didn't do it right, and this is what we got. So, all right, well, let me get cleaned up and we'll come back to it when we get everything all cleaned up. So it's kind of the same thing that we had at the last one, where someone just poured a bunch of silicone on it, didn't bother probably cleaning any of the surfaces, and just kind of left it as it. Needless to say, I'll be back. There's a lot of cleanup to do. I'm not going to drag you guys all the way through cleaning up, but there's silicone on the inside edge of the pan, and once I bring it out and clean it up a little bit, I won't take any of the silicone off, and I'll show you what they did and why it didn't work. But it would appear that somebody just took the pan off, siliconed the crap out of it, and then put it back on again, thinking that would solve the problem, when they never dealt with the problem to begin with. Like, number one, you need a gasket in there of some kind. You need to clean both surfaces, and you need to make sure that the silicone's in a place where it'll actually form between the two of them, not on the inside. All this, the whole bottom of the transmission, as you saw, was clean as a whistle. So that means no silicone got on the bottom of that. And then they had a giant, thick, like quarter-inch bead running around the inside of the transmission. Okay, so what I wanted to show you guys is, if you look at this pan and what they've done. Let me grab it with a rag because this thing is just disgusting. They siliconed around the whole thing, but you'll notice that none of it is compressed, meaning they missed the whole thing. There was no gasket on this at all, unless what's remnants of something here, but I don't see a gasket at all. I see pieces of gasket, but I don't see gasket anywhere here. So I find that quite interesting, and this is probably the reason it leaked, is because whoever did this didn't do it right. They siliconed everything, and as soon as the gaskets matched, pushed it all in. They probably put the sealer on it, pushed it in, and then it just moved all the gaskets or the sealer over, so that's why it was leaking. So pretty good reason for that. We see a little bit of material in here, but nothing real horrible in comparison. Could have been a lot worse. So now I need to just get this all cleaned up and ready to reassemble. I have to change the filter too, so let me get to it. Okay, so it's the next day. Spent a little bit of time cleaning up that pan. Didn't feel you guys really needed to watch that because it's long and boring. I know I wouldn't want to watch it. So because I cleaned the pan, I got all the gasket all cleaned off and all the gunk and RTV that they had on there. There had to be a handful of RTV there. Folks, when you're putting RTV on these things, you don't need that much. Just enough to seal the two surfaces, if at all. If the surface is nice and flat, and we'll check for that, then you shouldn't need a gallon of RTV. They must have put the whole bottle on it because it was a lot. Because I had it in the parts cleaner, of course, the paint came off, so I went ahead and shot paint on it. There's also a scuff here where it ran into something. How, I don't know, but they definitely ran up on something. So we got it all nice and painted now and clean and ready to go back in. So we just need to put RTV on it, put our gasket on it, and then we'll, while it's setting up, we'll go in. I've got some work to do in the house. That's on a whole nother video. But I got some work to do in the house. So let's get to it. Oh, and I also need to find my magnet. It's around here somewhere. Okay, as you can see, it's been overnight. It's still dripping, so we're going to go ahead and pull the filter.
So it takes T20s to get the 2 screws off of the filter. And one of the things you have to do is there is a seal inside the transmission. It does come with the kit, and you have to pull that seal out. I actually had to take a pick and bend it in order to grab a hold of it with a pair of needle nose pliers and rip it out of there so that I could get the new seal in place. Definitely want to make sure you do that.
All right. The next thing we do is we put our new seal in place.
Again, make sure that you lube your seal. Always lube your seal before you put it in, and that way you get a nice fit. You don't have to worry about it drying out and sticking and or becoming a part of that filter. One of the things that I did run into is I kept looking at it at an angle, saying it's not straight, not realizing that it was at an angle and was supposed to be.
Yeah, looking at it, it looks level from here. It's because the pan is crooked. It looks like it's out of place. But yeah, she's in there solid. Now for the fun part, putting the pan back on.
Now, when you do put the pan on, you put the silicone on the pan, leave it, get it up there right away, and then just put the bolt on finger tight. Don't crank it down yet.
So it just squeezes out just a tiny bit. Right there. Do not crank these bolts in until an hour after you get this stuff on here.
And that's the real trick to silicone, is you don't crank it on or you don't torque it until at least 1 hour afterwards, and that allows it to create a good seal between the pan and the transmission.
Again, you just finger tighten them until you see a little bit of it squeeze out. And then you let it sit for an hour. Okay, so the last thing we have to do is torque down our nuts to 165 inch-pounds. I'm using a crisscross pattern, so we'll start at our corners.
So this is a new torque wrench that does inch-pounds, and remember, it's 165 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. You do foot-pounds, you'll tear this thing up. But you do it in a crisscross pattern. I did go back after I used the torque wrench, and I used my regular ratchet and just double check to make sure everything was snug. There were 2 bolts I actually had to take back out again, clean the threads because there was silicone still in them, and I had to remove that silicone in order to get a good tight fit on the bolts. So that's one of the things you got to make sure you do, is make sure everything's clean. I would suggest running a tap first. So that wraps up putting the oil trans pan into the Chrysler 200. It was weird, a bunch of the bolts wouldn't go all the way in. Come to find out there was gasket stuff stuffed in there so tight that it wouldn't go through, so I had to clean out those holes. And then once I got that stuff out of there, everything went in nice and tight. So it has to sit for 24 hours for the gasket material to harden and be completely sealed up. So we can't put fluid in it till tomorrow. It takes, once it's empty like that, it takes 4 to 5 quarts to get back to capacity again. And that's because the torque converter's still got fluid in it and everything. And there's still a little bit of fluid in the system itself. So I finished the service. I did let the oil pan gasket, or the material, the silicone, sit for 4 or 5 days, so I know that it's good and hard. This particular transmission is the 4-speed. It takes 4 quarts with a filter change. If you have the 6-speed, it takes 5.5 quarts of transmission fluid. But this being the smaller transmission and only the 4-speed, it only takes 1 gallon. So we're good there. So we've got our gallon in. Just waiting for everything to drain down, check for leaks, fire it up, and get it out of my garage finally. So with that, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.